So we're joined from Metairie, Louisiana, by my guy, Stephen Orkus, member of Jefferson Parish Fire Department, graduate of LSU, NCAA basketball referee, just jack of all trades. We thank you so much for joining us. We are in the public safety career cluster. I got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools. Rosa Scott, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Absolutely.
One of the coolest jobs I think anybody can have. I just think it's just so cool what all you guys get to do. And I think, and we'll get to all that. But start us, you went to Brother Martin, not Brother Martin, you went to what?
Holy Cross.
Holy Cross High School there in New Orleans. Forgot. I don't want to say the name of your rival over there in the Catholic League. But you went to Holy Cross High School, played a lot of sports, and then you went to LSU where we met. So talk about your college experience, because I have a lot of kids tell me they want to go to LSU or another large SEC school because they see the TV football aspect. They want to be around the sports and the partying, but there's a lot more to large schools, especially LSU, that you can really get a lot out of your college experience.
Absolutely. I definitely was also swayed back in 2003 with the football aspect, growing up a huge LSU fan with my dad, going to football games. So I definitely did want to go there for that reason. But once I got there, I quickly realized that I really had no plan academically. I was a good student in high school, had a high GPA, decent ACT score, but quickly found out that I just didn't really know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, which is not a great plan when you're at school. And nowadays it costs a lot more money than it did back then. So I kind of lucked out going into the rec center and finding you and Jeff Pond and a good group of guys. Had no idea what was coming, just, was looking for a part-time job. And, such a blessing, probably the biggest turning point really of my life as far as where I've gotten to now in that profession was going over there and meeting you and Brad and Jeff and getting on with y'all, because it has turned out to be extremely rewarding for me.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that, because we definitely need to hit on that. But I think that's a good point, because even if you're not a sports person, I think it's important, no matter where you go to school, whether it be a community college, a small school, a large school, the importance of getting involved on campus, because obviously the GPA is important, but the networking aspect of any college experience, no matter where it is. And I know you are also a member of Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, which is a great organization. And, I have kids all the time tell me they want to be in MPHC or IFC or organizations, which is great. But there's a lot more to it than just wearing the logos and partying. There's a lot of networking involved. There's a lot of community service and also held to academic standards.
Absolutely. Nowadays it's just so cutthroat in the professional world. It's not, oh, I have a college degree, so I can come out of school and make a ton of money just because I have a degree. It's really important to find people, to find networks. Sometimes, unfortunately, in America anyway, it's a lot of times it's who you know, not what you know. So there's just so many aspects to it nowadays, and there's so many kids going to school, and everybody's fighting for the same kind of jobs. So it's just important to be well-rounded and have the academic side, but also the networking side.
Yeah, and it's not just who you know, it's who knows you.
That's
Now,
right.
the last thing I did want to talk about LSU is that it's 30,000 students. You go to these big schools, it is very easy to get lost in the shuffle, and also you're going to have to get used to being around from people from all over the world. I mean, just in
Right.
the rec center, we had people from India and Pakistan and Japan and Europe and Australia. We were having to work with people that were completely different, new to our culture, new to our language. And in order to have a successful program, we had to work with those people. And I think that's something you really have to prepare yourself for, especially we're a small community. We've been, these kids have been around the same people their entire life. And that's fine, because this is a great, hardworking community. But, when you want to branch out into these other areas, it really is important to be prepared to work with people from all different cultures.
Absolutely, and that's so true, and not just in when you pick a university to go to college, but even in the professional world. I mean, we just live in such a global economy now. You know, I firefight with guys from different backgrounds. You know, when we go on calls, we're dealing with people with language barriers, different cultural issues, and even in the referee world too. You know, the players. I can't tell you a time that last time I've been on a college basketball court where I have 10 guys on the floor from America. It just doesn't happen. You know, they
Same
are
thing.
literally
Yep.
everywhere in the world.
Yeah, same thing on the women's side with me. It's always so many international players, and it's really cool. But that was a good segue because you did graduate and joined Jefferson Parish Fire Department, which to me is one of the coolest jobs on the planet. But you know, we watch the TV shows and we see the big fire stuff, but it is not just fire. You guys are literally first responders to all emergencies on the water, in a building, confined spaces, up high, fire, medical, car wrecks, everything. So, talk a little bit about how you got into that and some of the training involved. Because if you're a sports person, this is a great career to get into, working on a team. If you're an adrenaline junkie, you get to do some pretty high risk stuff. So, just tell us how it all works because I think it's super cool.
So basically, you know, as I was on my 5 year journey at LSU to get a degree, I quickly realized after about my sophomore junior year, you know, I really wanted to be a full time college basketball referee. That is what I fell in love with, and that was my dream occupation. But unfortunately, you can't just graduate from college and make a living being a college basketball official. That's not how it works. So I knew I had to find some kind of job with insurance and benefits to pay bills and have something to fall back on while I was chasing the other dream. Um, so I actually had a brother-in-law had gotten on the fire department while I was in school, and he's the one that kind of opened my eyes to it and told me a little bit about it, the schedule, you know, what they did. And it's almost like, you know, being that I lived in the fraternity house for 3 years while at LSU, it's kind of like being a paid fraternity member, you know, minus the drinking and partying and social events. It's just work. But it's
Yeah.
very similar in the aspect of, you know, I go into the station at 7 a.m. and I stay there for 24 hours until 7 a.m. the next morning. So those guys that I'm with are they're basically my family. You know, we eat together. You know, we sleep in the same dorm, share the same bathroom, work out. I mean, we literally are together for 24 straight hours. So it's a whole nother life with a whole nother family that I do 4 months out the year, working 24-hour shifts. So it just appealed to me, and it you know, the pay aspect when you first get in is a little tough. You know, you don't do it for a ton of money. We all have to have second, even third jobs. But, you know, the benefits are, you know, at the end of the day, if you do a full career, 25, 30, 33 years, whatever you choose, it's one of the few jobs in America now where you have a pension. So I'll be able to, at 50, 53 years old, I'll be able to retire and get a mailbox check for as long as I live. So hopefully I stay in good health. And, you know, that's definitely the major benefit as far as financials are concerned with being a fireman. So I just jumped into it. I graduated LSU. I actually moved to Dallas for a year to chase the basketball dream a little bit, and was just kind of waiting tables and bartending. And then an opportunity came to move back home to New Orleans and join the fire department. So I jumped on it. Hadn't looked back since.
Yeah, and it really is something that is really needing good people to get in, and they need young athletic people that have sports backgrounds, that have kind of the team mindset, because on any call, you got to work as a team, and you've got to be able to protect your crew members in a life-threatening situation at the same time, saving whoever you got called there to save. So talk about some of the different types of calls you guys have to answer, because it is not just jumping in burning buildings.
No, it's not. Every time the alarm goes off, unfortunately, we're going into something that nobody else wants to be a part of, which is why they're calling 911. So unfortunately, it's very rare. In fact, it doesn't happen where that alarm rings and it's a good, easy situation. Some calls are a little less stressful than others, but at the end of the day, they're calling us because someone is in need. So we'll do everything from, you know, we will rescue animals out of drains or, getting underneath houses, things like that. Older people or overweight people fall down and can't get up. We'll have to get into their house and help them up. And then it just kind of carries from there going upwards. We have a lot of motor vehicle accidents, some better than others. Some are fender benders where, minor injuries, maybe just the car's leaking some kind of fluids, all the way to I-10, 70, 80 mile an hour high speed crashes involving, 18 wheelers, cars, motorcycles. So that can get pretty electric and pretty crazy. And then of course we have the firefighting, which luckily, nowadays in 2024 has gotten a lot easier for us. Building construction, residential construction is a lot better than it used to be. Majority of people have smoke alarms, detectors that help us get a calls before, flames are coming through the roof. So we're not going on as many structure fires as firefighters back in the 60s and 70s and 80s did. But we still do have them. We've had a big run at my station lately the last couple of months. Luckily I've been off, so I've kind of dodged them. But there isn't much more of an adrenaline rush or scary situation than running into a building that's on fire, full of black smoke. You can't see anything. It is very intense, and our training is of the utmost importance in those situations, because not only are we trying to protect ourselves and make sure we get home to our wives and kids, but unfortunately, sometimes there are people or animals trapped inside that structure. And, our goal is to get them out and to keep them alive and get them to safety. So it's pretty intense. It's pretty crazy, but, we train religiously. Every tour, we do a 5-day tour. So I'll work on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. So I'm working 5 shifts over 8 days. And we'll do a legit training every tour. We'll go over to the West Bank on the other side of the river, and we'll practice. We'll smoke up a building, and we'll do search and rescue. We'll light up old cars, junk cars, and practice putting them out. So we stay ready, and that's the most important thing, is to be ready, because once that alarm goes off and you jump on that truck, it's business. Everyone's putting themselves in the same danger, and the goal, like I said, is to get everyone back home safe the next morning.
Yeah, and I know a big part of it too is when you first get there, you have to make sure all of your equipment is accounted for, because the last thing that ever needs to happen is you go on a call and you don't have something you need, because a matter of minutes could be life and death. That's
right. That's usually our morning routine. We show up a little bit before 7, relieve the crew that was there the previous day. The operator of the truck will talk to the previous crew's operator about what they did, what they used, where the truck's at on fuel, kind of go over that. The captains will talk with each other about what's going on at the station, if they had any calls from the chief about station things. We'll have a couple cups of coffee, talk about the family, the kids, what might have happened at yesterday's baseball game, or whatever it may be. But by about 7:30, we get to work. The operators are on top of that truck, checking every tool, making sure they have fuel, they're turning on. The firefighters will start cleaning up. The officers will start their paperwork. At 8 o'clock, we'll have a radio check from the dispatch center, making sure all of our portable radios work, the truck radios work. And come about 8:15, 8:20, everything's done, and you're kind of, planning out your meals for the day. We have to eat together. So whether we're going to the store, if we're eating out, if we have training, when we're going to go to the gym to get a workout in, and then you kind of sit around and just wait for those tones.
Yeah, and also I'm not sure where your station is, but a lot of these stations too have to take care of the boat. They have water rescues, and I know
Yeah.
with Jefferson Parish being their Lake Pontchartrain, there's a possibility you could be getting in the water.
That's right. We have a station on the north side, right by the lake, at Bonneville. They carry all of our water rescue equipment, so they are in charge of making sure those boats are up to date, and they take them out like once a month. My station is in charge of all the spare unit cars, the Explorers, the Tahoes, the big trucks. We park them all at my station, so we're in charge of starting them every day, making sure they're full of fuel, clean. But yeah, the water rescue is definitely, especially being down in New Orleans. Just last week, we had major flooding on that storm. I know y'all had some really bad weather too. Unfortunately, we're just in a fishbowl. So we had flash flooding, and people were trying to drive through water that you shouldn't be trying, getting stuck. So we had guys, were getting called out, having to go walk through waist deep water. Luckily, nobody was fully submerged, but getting people out of cars that are trapped. So that's definitely an aspect of the job, being where we're at.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about officiating, but the last thing I want to talk about is, as far as firefighting, is there's a big need for women to get into this field. You see it all the time, because on calls, sometimes women are more comfortable talking to women. And obviously there's a big need for bilingual firefighters, no matter where you are. We have a lot of first generation Americans in our district, and I think this would be a great field for them to get into as our population continues to change in this country.
Absolutely. We have four women firefighters on my department, and they're all awesome women. In my opinion, all four of them are probably stronger and better suited for the job than some of the guys we have on the department. I mean, they really do get after it. But absolutely, that's just where we are at in America. We're just a big melting pot, and you need that diversity, because it helps, man. It really does. We have a guy on my crew. His parents immigrated from South America, and he is fluent in Spanish. And I just can't tell you how much it helps sometimes on calls when people, they just don't speak the English language, or it's very broken, hard to understand. And he can just start speaking fluent Spanish, and it's like, it just makes it so much easier to find out, what's wrong, what hurts, how we can help. So it definitely,
or even sign language, because my sister has learned American Sign Language, and it's just amazing how quick she's learned it. But there's a big need for signers for the hearing impaired.
Absolutely. You run across all of it.
So, I just really encourage anybody, no matter what your background is, but especially if you're bilingual, if you're a female, there's, the fire department can use you no matter where you are. So it's just such a cool job to get into. Now we're going to get to some questions about that, because I've got some of the students are handing me, but we got to talk about officiating. We'd be remiss if we didn't. That's how me and you cross paths. But I always say, no matter what sport it is, I know you do baseball. I've done baseball in the past. I've done football. I've done volleyball, soccer, but every sport, no matter what it is, really needs new officials to get into it. I'm doing 60 basketball games a year. I know you're doing even more than that. But people complain about us. People want to criticize us, but we're not getting any younger. We're not going to be able to keep up this pace forever. And I always joke, last year I wound up doing 56 games, and in 51 of those, I was the youngest person, and I'm 42 years old. That is not a good trend.
No.
But it's a great workout. You can make some great money, even if you're not on the Division I level like you. But it's still money in your pocket. You get to see places you might not have ever seen. You get to meet people you wouldn't have met. And then, like you said, on the men's and women's side, you get to see players from all over the world that you wouldn't have met otherwise. You get to network with people, and it's just and through it all, you get the best seat in the house for all these games.
Yeah, I would encourage, anyone who has a sports background. I was a pretty good athlete as a kid, but not good enough to play at the next level, obviously. And so the opportunity just to stay around something that I love, I mean, man, you just can't. I'd say I'd almost do it for free. I don't know if I would now, where I'm at now. I don't know if I could do it for free. It's a little too expensive flying and renting cars and getting hotel rooms. But it truly is just doing something you love, that you're good at, that you enjoy. I think that's the most important thing for whatever your kids want to do once they get out of high school. That would be my biggest piece of advice, is just think about what you love doing, something that's not going to be a chore to do 5 days a week. Because that's what's going to make you happy in life, is doing something that you enjoy. So that's the most important thing. And basketball is definitely my first love, my greatest love, my favorite sport as a kid. Even though I played them all, I've always just been, attracted most to the game of basketball. And yeah, there's just nothing like doing something you love and getting paid for it.
Yeah, and even if somebody's not a basketball fan, every sport needs good officials. Football, we get
Absolutely.
serious shortage. Baseball, volleyball, soccer, softball, all of it really needs young people to get into it, and it really is something very rewarding that you can do even as a hobby,
Yeah.
and
And
make it
it's
with a lot
great
of change.
money at all the levels, for going down to high school. When you break it down to the hour, you're basically getting $25-$30 an hour to referee high school sports or lower. I mean, that's great
Yeah,
side income to help pay car notes and insurance and gas. And like you said, a bunch of them, keep you in shape. It's a healthy lifestyle. You meet people, the networking we were talking about earlier. I mean, I can't tell you how many opportunities I've had open up to me just from being in the officiating world. Um,
yeah,
it's been incredible. It's really become a complete business. It's not just a
yeah,
little side job. It is a full-time business. And the higher you go, the bigger the business becomes, obviously. But
yeah.
there's referees that I know that have met their spouses through officiating, that have gotten other full-time jobs, just networking with other referees and getting better opportunities in their main job. There's really that, outside of dealing with the crazy parents, sometimes that there's not too much downfall from it.
Yeah, and I'm the kind of person, and I can't speak for everybody. I'm too ADD. I can't just make myself get up and run for no reason. But if I'm not thinking about it, I can run with them boys all night. And it really is, when you get done, you're like, man, I just got a great workout in, and you feel great. And I lose weight every season. I gain it back in the off season, but I still lose weight every season. So, really, really want to encourage, if you're a sports person, really consider it, even on the high school, just staying on the high school level. That's all you want to do. There's a big need for you everywhere.
Absolutely.
Well, I do have some questions from the students, and some of these are pretty funny. This first one is Rihanna Kelly. She's in ninth grade, and she asked, "Do you ever get scared going in a deadly house fire? And what is the scariest fire you've ever been in?"
Absolutely, Rihanna. There, any firefighter who tries to tell you they don't get scared is lying and trying to be too tough. Because as humans, something's wrong with you if there's not some scared fear inside your mind. Because no fire is the same. We don't attack any of them the same way. None of them react the same way. There's no fire that is similar. So I absolutely do. There is a sense of fear every time I'm about to go into that building. And that's good, because that keeps you on your toes. That keeps your mind uh, at ease, as far as, yeah, obviously it's scary, but I'm going to rely on my training. I'm going to rely on my brothers and sisters that are going in there with me, and we're going to attack this thing together. And we're going to do what we're trained to do. And, the scariest fire I've ever been in, I had to call a mayday one time. A mayday is when you're in serious trouble, and if you say mayday on that radio, everything stops. All operations stop. Everyone from the chief down to other firefighters in the building, they stop what they're doing. And the only thing everyone is now focused on is getting that trapped firefighter out of the situation he's in. So we had a really scary fire in a fourplex. So it was 2 downstairs units and 2 upstairs units. But the fire was rolling so bad, the flames were so bad. When I entered, me and my partner, we were going to do a search and rescue on the 2nd floor. We were told that there was definitely people trapped on the 2nd floor. So we had one group of guys going in to attack the fire, and me and another guy were going to start a search and rescue operation upstairs. We thought that it was a duplex, 1 unit on the 1st floor, 1 unit on the 2nd floor. We just couldn't see. There was no way to know that it was a fourplex. So we're upstairs. It's completely pitch black. Can't see anything. We're doing what we're supposed to do. He's on the left wall with his left hand, basically holding the wall. I'm holding on to his right ankle with my left hand. I have an axe in my right hand, using the handle to sweep the floor. We're feeling on sofas, beds. We're trying to find the people that we thought were trapped. We thought there was a mom and a daughter somewhere on that 2nd floor. And it feels like you're in there for an eternity. Time just goes by so fast, and we're just searching and searching, and we're not finding anybody. We started to become a little bit discombobulated as far as where are we? We didn't even know where we were. It felt like we were going in the same circle over and over. And then my partner's air bottle started going off, meaning he only had about 60 to 90 seconds of air left because of the strenuous work we were doing. Sometimes when that bell goes off, you can last another 120, 180 seconds if you're just kind of sitting around, putting the fire out. But when you're actively on the ground on all fours doing search and rescue, it's going to go a little quicker. And he started to freak out, which is normal. And I ended up just calling a mayday, saying my partner was low on air. We needed to get out immediately. Luckily, I came across a window, bashed it out with the axe, which kind of helped the smoke start to clear out. And the guys that were at my truck had a ladder at that window within 10 seconds. And we just got out that window and we were safe. But certainly when I had to call that mayday, stuff starts going through your mind like, oh man, this could get serious real quick. So that's probably the scariest fire I've ever been in.
Wow. This is Derek Mitchell, also in 9th grade, and he asks, how long is the training process to become a firefighter?
So the full-on process from when you decide I want to be a fireman to your first day in the station, unfortunately, can take up to like a year or two, simply because you have to apply at whatever department. I would recommend trying to do any departments that are within like an hour of where you're going to live, just so that you can get on. Because once you get on to a department, you're in the system. So if you're going to firefight in Mississippi, I think Jackson has their own department. I'm sure some of those suburbs are getting so big, they're having their own departments. So apply to all of them, because you just need one to say yes to you, and then you're in. And you can always transfer. Like, I'm actually on my 3rd fire department. I got on in Kenner by the New Orleans airport. Then I moved down to Plaquemines, which goes down the Mississippi River for a while because it was a better opportunity financially. And then I finally got on where I'm at now in Jefferson. But I was a firefighter for 6 years before I got to where I am now. And then once you get on with a group, a department, then you have to wait for them to start an academy. And they might want to wait 2 months, 3 months, because they're going to join with, Ridgeland might want to join with Clinton to do a joint academy. The academy itself is only 4 months, 5 months, depending on what they're going to do as far as if you're going to do a driver operator course in the academy. But typically around 4 months is the actual academy part. And that's 5 days a week, just like school, 8 to 3. And after 4 months, you pretty much learn everything that you need to learn. But the process in its entirety can take up to a year, even 2, just trying to find a place that's hiring getting through the academy.
Yeah, and I know that I know at least in Clinton, I know you mentioned Clinton. Once they get on, they want them to become paramedics, and they'll be a firefighter. They'll be getting paid, but doing the paramedic school program while they're already a firefighter.
Correct. That's a trend that you're seeing nationally as far as firefighting goes. You're seeing a lot of departments become fire rescue, meaning you're going to run fire trucks, engines, ladders, squads, and ambulances out of the same station. So you might be on an engine for one day, and then the next day you might be driving an ambulance, and the next day you might be riding on the ladder truck, and then the next day you might be in the back of the ambulance. It's definitely something that you're seeing. We're not doing it where I am yet, but there is talk about it. And that's good, because the more certifications you have, the more opportunities you have as far as, overtime, picking up extra shifts, and honestly just being more comfortable. Luckily on my crew, I have a guy who's fully certified EMT, because we're only trained as first responders, meaning if you're not breathing, I know how to try to make you breathe, but as far as like traumatic injuries and stuff, outside of just applying pressure, a tourniquet, trying to stop bleeding, I personally am not fully skilled or certified in anything other than basic first aid, CPR. But having him on our crew, sometimes ambulances don't have a truck available. So it's on us, and we get saved a lot by him, because he is way further advanced on the medical side, which is a huge benefit. And then also,
that pays you more as well.
That's right. And if you're trying to get on the fire department, getting your EMT certifications is a great resume builder for them to say, oh yeah, we want him or her on the fire department. They are already EMT certified. That goes a long way as far as having a resume to hand to that fire chief of whatever city you're trying to get on in. If you already have some of those certifications, they know you're not scared of blood. You're not scared of stressful, tense situations. It goes a long way.
Yeah, and we have a 6-month EMT program at the community college down the street, so you could be doing that while you're applying. I think that's
Absolutely.
a great idea.
Absolutely.
Right, we just got time for one more. This is Christian McGee, member of our state championship powerlifting team that just won the state championship last week. Also plays football here. And he asked, how do you protect yourself in a fire?
So we have PPE, personal protective equipment, which is going to be helmet, a hood that covers your ears and most of your face, a mask, jacket, gloves, bunker pants, and boots. So when I go into a fire, there's not a single centimeter of my skin that's showing. I'm completely covered. Now, could I go jump into a flame, a fire, and not hurt myself? No. But as far as getting burned, it's not going to happen. It's going to be very hot, especially where we live down here in the South. There's not much worse than going into a structure fire in August at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is why it's so incumbent that you're in great physical condition. I take a lot of pride in how much I work out and how fit I am. But when I'm telling you, 10, 15 minutes of fighting a legitimate fire will put me on my butt. I mean, I am done. I need to go to the rehydration tent. I need to take that stuff off. I need to drink a bunch of water, pour water on my head. And I need 15 minutes to cool off and calm down before I can put another bottle on and get back after it.
Yeah, and that's why, I always say, if you're a sports person that likes the physical aspect, this could be a great field for you. And that I'll send this to you. There's a great video that I showed of J.J. Watt. Everybody knows, the great NFL D lineman, and he goes through the firefighter training in Wisconsin that his dad went through, and he can barely make it through it. And this is a professional athlete, so it is not for the weak. So again, for any of these kids that like the sports side of it, like the physical team thing, this could be a great field for them. And again, like we said, officiating these people, these fire and rescues always looking for good, brave people to step in and really save people's lives. It really is a profession that will not go away.
That's right. You are completely safe in today's world. They will never be able to get rid of firemen. obviously, along with teachers and nurses, in my opinion, some of the most underpaid but heavily valued professions we have in America. But, we all do it for a different reason. It's not for the money. We do it because that's just our personality. We like helping people. We like mentoring kids. That's just kind of our personality. So it does take a special person to get into the field. But there's not a greater feeling than getting done with a call, and someone has just gone through some kind of negative traumatic experience, and you get them to smile, or just to realize that everything's okay. It just does leave you with a great feeling, for sure.
I love it. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. But before we go, just why should these young men and women really consider a career in public safety?
I in my opinion, it's just, if you don't if you don't have something planned, if you don't have something you love that you want to go to a 4-year college for, big or small, in today's world, especially those freshmen, they're kind of starting to see it, but you're going to see real soon when you're a senior and you're about to graduate. I mean, becoming a full-time adult is just different. You're on your own. Bills don't pay themselves, and the only thing certain in life is death and taxes, and you're going to be paying them. So it's just a great job. You're going to get full benefits as far as health insurance, eyesight insurance, dental insurance. You're going to get a pension, which means, if you get into the fire department at 18, 19 years old, before you turn 50, you're going to retire at 50 years old, and they are going to send you checks until the day that you die. And you can make those checks a little bit smaller and leave the checks for your wife or your kids too. So there is a lot of safety in it. You're going to have to work another job, especially when you're young, but that's okay, because when you're young, you're full of energy, and you don't mind working every day. But just the safety net of knowing that, there's no tornado or hurricane that's going to ruin your job or make you relocate. You're going to be safe from that, which is, nowadays, as long as you have a job and you have insurance, you're going to be good to go. But it's just something that has a lot of benefits, and if you love it, can't beat it.
Absolutely. Well, again, we thank you so much for joining Stephen Orkus, Jefferson Parish Fire Department. And before we go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
And who dat?
Who dat, baby? Let's go.
All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
See y'all later.